Do you know what yoga is, Mitt? This is miserable Mitt, held by some lovely lady. Look at you. You're gorgeous, you are. Who's there? Anyone there? Hello, miserable Mitt. You're not too miserable today. Are you my mate? Are you my mate? No, what do you know, Mitt? What do you know about yoga? Are you a yoga bunny or yoga pussy? Right, we're going to talk about yoga tonight. I know I just did a video. There we go, I've got him now. There you go. Bring him on camera. Well, are you there? Earth calling Prash. Come in, Prash. This is Station Reid calling Prashatron. Are you there, Prashatron?
Here we are. Here we are.
I know I bring Prash on pretty much once a week and we do a little talk because me and Prash, we're putting on a retreat in Hungary, 17th to the 20th of September. And we talk about all different topics. And I thought tonight, hello, boys and girls, please ask questions. I just asked Robin Deacon, so we're talking about yoga tonight. We're doing a retreat. It's not a yoga retreat. And you may see many yoga retreats out there. But we do have yoga. And I was talking earlier before we came on Prash, I'm a bit bashed up. And I've got a lot of athlete friends. And actually, most of my friends are my kind of age. I'm sure in life's trials and tribulations, we all have aches and pains. We all know that yoga is brilliant for being able to bend in the wind. So you're not a brittle tree that snaps. Because life can make you bendy. So it's not just about your body, it's about your mind. But I can sound a bit wishy-washy. What is yoga, Prash?
Well, let's talk about that. That's a really, really good question. And let me start with a definition for everybody. Let me start with what yoga is not. Yoga is not purely the stuff that most people here in the West associate as yoga being. It is a part of yoga, but the yoga as we know it, or as the general public know it in the West, is just a part of what yoga really is. So let me just start by saying that if you think yoga is about a bunch of people stretching and getting really flexible, developing core strength, developing better health, and if you think that's all there is to yoga and peace of mind, then actually you haven't got a full grasp of yoga.
But that's yoga, saying that if that's all you take away, that's not necessarily bad.
Brilliant. If you take it away, yeah, absolutely. If you can take that away, that's a fantastic start. But since you asked me, I'm going to go into it. And this is one of my passions. So let me just share a little bit about yoga. The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit. Sanskrit's the oldest language in the world, by the way, arguably 8,500 years old. The Rig Veda, which is the oldest, pretty much the oldest book known to mankind. The Rig Veda dates back 8,500 years. It's written in Sanskrit. And the language Sanskrit, from which yoga is derived, defines the word yog as to yoke, to unite. So the word yoga means to unite.
Unite.
And so what you're doing is unite, yeah. And so what you're doing with yoga, or to connect, so what you're doing is you're uniting in its true essence, yoga is the art of uniting our consciousness with the universal consciousness. You can call that God, you can call it the universe, you can call it however you feel you relate to that. But yoga is to unite.
Let me just stop you there for a second. Okay, so I've got a few friends on here who are open-minded. Most of my friends are generally open-minded because they know I'm very open-minded. But there's still what we call left and right brain, analytical. Yeah, I don't believe there's your trusting brain, and there's a part of your brain where questions. All right, you're talking about uniting with the universe. What's that all about? I know, I'm asking you.
So what we're talking about is we're talking about reconnecting ourselves with our source, our essence. That is to say, we're all here, we're all part of a bigger whole. And although we're individual units and we live, breathe, think, reproduce individually, we're also connected in a way. Carl Jung beautifully reflects it. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, refers to it as the collective consciousness. Einstein referred to our connection, that we're all connected in one way or another to the universal great source. Many scientists and philosophers have referred to the fact that we're all part of something. You don't have to refer to it as God. You don't have to refer it to as a divine being. That is your choice. But invariably, what we're talking about is a transcendental, a deeper source that unites all of us. That's what we're talking about here. And that's what yoga is here for. Yoga is here to help us to unite with that one original source. So let me go.
Most people who are doing yoga classes and doing yoga at home on YouTube or from a book or done a few yoga poses, they're not. What is the difference? I'm just trying to fast forward real quick.
I'm gonna explain that. Let me explain where this fits in. And I'm glad you asked that. There's a beautiful explanation to how it all fits in. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a primer on how this all fits in. So when we understand that the purpose of yoga is not just to get is not ultimately just to get flexible and peace of mind. That's not yoga. It's a part of it. Ultimately, the purpose of yoga is to unite our consciousness with the supreme consciousness. And by definition, it transcends people's religious beliefs. A lot of Christian people get hot and under the collar about this, pardon the pun, and thinking that this is kind of work of the devil or something. It's not. Yoga is a science. One of the best books on yoga that I recommend anyone and everyone to read, no matter what color, creed, race, background, or age you are, is a book. Take note. It's called The Autobiography of a Yogi. And it's by a guy called Paramahamsa Yogananda. Why is this book special? Aside from the fact that it's the most well-read autobiography of a Eastern spiritual person on the planet, it was also the only book found on Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple. It was the only book found on CEO Steve Jobs.
He was a big yogi, was he?
He was a great philosopher, and that was the one book that gave him a lot of comfort. A lot of people have read this book in their time. It was the one book found in his iPad, and he was a deep thinker about it. So let me join this to what you were asking, right? So what yoga is, the yoga that we see is a part of a system. Yoga consists of eight parts. Actually, that's what yoga consists of, 8 parts. Those 8 parts are as follows. I'm going to describe them for you without getting too technical into the Sanskrit names. Those 8 parts, or 8 limbs as they're known, are as follows. The 8 limbs of yoga start with, first of all, yama. So first there's restraints or moral principles, certain things you want to do from a moral or ethical standpoint to keep your body and mind sacred. That's the first part. Then comes niyam. These are positive duties or observances that you do. You might be doing certain types of meditation practice. You might be doing certain types of restraint, like you might have a certain chastity vow for a certain time. That's the second layer of yoga. The third is asana. That's the one that most people know. Asana means posture. So the third aspect of yoga is the yoga that most people know, but there are 8. The third aspect is the yoga that we do in the West primarily, right? All the stuff we do in the gym physically, that's known as posture. That's the posture part of yoga. The fourth part is called pranayama, which means breath control. So the 2 things all humans do is that we have in common is breathing and thinking, right? Most of us think. I know there are a few who we question, but pretty much most of us think and we breathe. And so pranayama means the practice of bringing our breath under control and extending our life force so we become healthier. That's the 4th of the 8 limbs of yoga. The 5th, so these 4 limbs, just to explain, these 4 steps of yoga, starting from moral principles, like principles of cleanly living, kind of living a cruelty-free life, living a life which is moral, kind of not kind of shagging people, trying to have some restraint in one's balance, not drinking too much, not kind of doing too much dodgy stuff, just like keeping oneself even keel is the first aspect. The second is positive activities that you do on top of that. Healthy reading, exercise, fitness will fall into that. Asana, your postures, that's the third level that we're talking about, the one everybody knows. The 4th is pranayama, learning to extend our life force and purify our life force. That is the thing that we do most of, breathing, right? We all breathe, and therefore imagine how we can change our consciousness and our emotions just by the way we breathe.
Right. Okay. Listen, I'm totally up with all this because I follow this, but there's still so much I don't comprehend. how advanced were our ancient ancestors to do all of this stuff and to know all of this? It was like they're like years ahead. And it's, I mean, when did this come into existence? Was it sent down? Well, I'm not trying to get religious, but where does yoga stem from? Is it stem from the gods, or did people just get together and think, hang on a minute, this is a great way? We start understanding consciousness, and if we hold our bodies and we in a certain posture, or we think and we're kind and we do certain good practices, we're going to lead a much better, healthier life.
For sure. So it has its origins in antiquity, right? This is information that was transmitted from a guru, from a spiritual saintly person to their student, to their student, to their student. The information that was gleaned through meditative practices and through personal realizations, improved, refined over the ages, and then transmitted to student after student after student in verbal form, and then gradually into written form. And that tradition is 8,500 years ago, 8,500 years old, just in.
Was it more advanced then, or has it got better? Has it been more refined as it's gone on, or is it?
That's a great question. So according to the thinkers and sages and kind of philosophers from these traditions, they feel that our consciousness has sadly devolved. Yeah. Obviously, now we're kind of refining and evolving. Now we're in this age of, self-realization and age of Aquarius. People have different names.
Talking like this, Prash, some people think you're weird when we discuss about what goes on when you die and extra.
Right.
People they're not comfortable in society with energies and different dimensions, the things that we can't see unless you can see it and feel it. Although we do have people who will they look at it with interest, they dismiss it because we've kind of been designed to shut down much of our senses. I mean, I'm sad. Half of my friends will say, "God, Alec, that's Reid again. He's talking this silly mumbo jumbo hippie nonsense," and I'm like, "That's okay. That's okay. I still love them, and but." It's because, and I actually feel pity for them. I don't feel sorrow. Because they're so blind to other things which are in our existence, just because they can't comprehend it.
Right, exactly. And so it requires, I couldn't have said it better, Alex. It does require people to have an open mind. But I would put to anyone listening to this, live or on the replay, a simple thing. Can we as humans see radio waves or electromagnetic waves? The answer is no, and yet we accept their existence.
Not yet.
There are many
in a few hundred years, but hey, yeah,
maybe, yeah, right. Gravity, another force we can't see, but we accept. Now we've come to accept these things, even though we can't see them through our five senses, because somebody somewhere has used some equipment to do some deductions, and they've deduced that these things exist, these forces exist. Similarly, there are forces at work which we as humans haven't tapped into. To think that we've discovered 99% of the known universe is madness. Not Sparta, it's madness. It really is madness, because
Sparta.
Even scientists accept that they know very little about the whole known universe. If scientists like Einstein and many, many people after, Oppenheimer, Carl Sagan, a lot of these renowned luminaries have pointed to the fact that there are higher intelligent forces at work which we haven't tapped into with these five senses, then who are we to question? The point is, without getting too philosophical and bringing this conversation back, there are powerful forces that come into play when we start to embrace these other esoteric yoga practices without having to be bogged down in the whole thing about your religion is better than my religion. Let's forget that stuff. Let's talk about science, the science of metaphysical realization. That's what yoga is.
I want to bring this back, and I'm guiding this a little bit because I could talk like this all day, and that's my guilty passion.
I know you can, but we're going to do this in Hungary.
What I want to talk about is the fact that we are running a retreat from the 17th to the 20th of September in Hungary, and we do have yoga. And I had a discussion with Prash today. I said it's very important that we get the right yoga teacher on board, because this is why we're having this discussion now about yoga, because my friends are yoga. I've got half my friends are yoga nuts, yoga gurus. The other half, oh yeah, yoga, that's fun. Let's go and do a bit of yoga. They wouldn't know what the different kinds of yoga are. So my point is, we're going to be doing some yoga, but tell us what else we're going to be doing, and what differentiates us on our retreat from a normal yoga retreat.
So thanks for asking that. So whereas a normal yoga retreat is typically targeted to people who are already interested in and to a degree well-versed in yoga, and people go to enhance that yoga experience and deepen that alone, that's the physical yoga that we see, along with some meditation. Our retreat it's urban spirituality. That's why it's called urban spirituality. It's called that for a reason. It's taking spirituality, metaphysics, and self-help, that area of life that many of us start to tap into, need to tap into more, are curious about, or think that it's a taboo, and demystifying it and making those areas that are powerful and can make deep transformations in our life accessible and more accessible to average people. And that's what our retreats focus on. So we don't just focus on yoga and that particular style of yoga. We want to blend that with other practices that will help us. So we work on the physical level through the fitness work that obviously you're going to take us through, Alex, the martial arts, the hiking.
Yeah.
We work by blending the fitness level with emotional toughness. We build on that with conscious hiking. We start getting our mind and our consciousness expanded.
Let me just add in there. It's important that we get, because I don't know the yoga instructor yet, but you do, and that's why I had the conversation, has to be in synergy with everything else we're doing, because it's not like different workshops. Everything is going to be working synergistically. I'm going to be doing some very light martial arts, but they're going to be more like Mr. Miyagi lessons from Karate Kid. He would use them as like metaphors, and they're great lessons. So you're going to get a workout. At the same time, you're going to get some metaphors on how to deal with the stresses and strains of life a little bit easier, or a bit more effective. And that's
Absolutely.
why I said it needs to flow. I'm very proficient in yoga. I'm not a yoga teacher, and actually, I look forward to when those sessions are on to being able to join in and come off the teacher mode. But that's why we're talking about yoga today. I think we need to sort of kind of wrap up, because we don't really want to. We want to less is more.
Hang on, you asked me a question, so let me finish off. If you don't mind, let me just finish off the other aspects of why this is different. Why this is different, and why I've been doing this for 10 years, running these retreats, and obviously had the pleasure of working with Alex. Alex, obviously, you joined our retreat. You were with us earlier this year. You've had a flavor of how we roll. You were with us on one of our events last year. So you know the kind of flavor that we have, that we're not trying to make these retreats exclusivist for people who are just yoga aficionados or people who are of a particular faith. What we want to do is take this thing called spirituality and make it usable, make it accessible, make it practical, and work for us in our daily problems and lives, in our health, in our emotional toughness, in our resilience, and ultimately to bring us a sense of happiness that makes us realize a really important lesson in life. I got to say this: happiness is not just the end. Happiness is not the end that we are just seeking for. Happiness is also the means. Half the damn problem we get caught into, so many of us, is we're chasing something, that happiness that's up there. We're chasing a goal called happiness in our head, whatever that looks like, right? A multi-million-pound house, a car, the ideal person of our dreams. We're chasing that up there, thinking when we get that, we'll be happy, when actually happiness is the means to that. The more happier we and fulfilled and content we are with what we've got, no matter how little, we are able to gravitate and magnetize and attract those things towards us. That's the key that people are missing. Law of attraction. And that's what we want to invite people to: be bold, be outrageous, and suspend their short, narrow-minded, scientific and programmed views, frankly programmed and conditioned views, to expand ourselves, to start actually taking advantage of this stuff. That makes our yoga, our retreats, so unique, because we combine yoga with philosophy, with personal development, with transformational techniques, with physical transformation, and then with this beautiful place where we're going, which is an ashram sanctuary and 300 acres of pristine Hungarian valley countryside, to create an experience that is unlike anything that people have experienced. And that's the magic of what we do. And guess what? The people who come help to make this a very beautiful experience. Alex, need I say more?
I just want to say that half my friends are yoga nuts. Funnily, none of those people are actually coming on this retreat. That's not because they don't, because they've been there and done that. They've done that. But a lot of my friends I've got some friends who are coming, some really lovely people with great wealth of life experience. They're very open-minded to yoga, but it's not about coming to learn to be bendy. It's about coming and getting a total experience, a transformational experience.
You just said it. You just said it right there, man. That is so much. It isn't just about being bendy. You get bendy, and you'll get that. Great. Pardon the pun, but it's not about just being bendy. It's about bending the mind, right? It's about extending our mind. And listen, folks, let us not underestimate the power of our mind. With 95%, according to experts, Bruce Lipton. Listen to Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief. 95% of our brain substance and our thinking power is not being harnessed because we're running half the damn time on an automated, subconscious program that's causing us to behave, act, think, and react in certain pre-programmed, preconditioned ways. So we can't even tap into that 95% subconscious that is waiting to help us achieve our goals, improve our health, establish powerful new realities for us in our lives. And that's what we want to tap into when we go on the retreat. That's what we got to tap into.
The 17th to the 20th of September, next month. 3 days, 4 nights. I've got it wrong.
3 nights, 4 days, Alex. You had a long day.
I should really know this, shouldn't I?
It's been a long day.
Yeah, it has been a long day. I love you all. If you want to come and check this out, please message me on Prash. Prash is going to put some lovely information up about our retreat. Would love to see you there. All questions welcome.
Alex,
I'm going to bid you adieu.
By the way,
even the last little message, Prash.
I just wanted to say that this is not a starvation retreat. Nobody will go hungry. It's going to be beautifully catered for by awesome. Even though we're in Hungary. Thank you, Alex. I'm glad to see that you're sensitive.
Has it got any? There's a lot of hungry people.
It's actually not. It's not actually called Hungary. It's Hungaria. It's an ancient the name comes from an name. You know what? Everybody's going to be really well catered for. Locally grown food mostly, and yes, it's vegan friendly. Mary Louise, you'll be in great hands, and it's going to be really a beautiful experience. The place is such low light. The stars at night look gorgeous. You're able to see the Milky Way when it's a really clear night. And
beautiful.
Don't forget, we're half an hour away from the largest lake in Central Europe, Lake Balaton, with pristine beaches on one side and volcanic areas at the other end. It's an incredible experience. We'll be combining all of this, sharpening our minds, strengthening our bodies, and actually leaving a lot of baggage behind so we can start tapping into that 95%. What a damn shame that people aren't tapping into the stuff that they've got because they're still running on programs borrowed inherited from their parents, right? You're not good enough. You're not old enough. You can't do that. You're not going to do this. Your mates are screwing you, or your mates, those are backstabbing you. And you got all this conditioning going on. We want to detangle some of that. We'll use yoga and these techniques. I think, Alex, we'll use these things. And that's what we've done year after year. In these retreats, we use these techniques to help us to demystify things and become our true selves. Forget about anything else and being Alex Reid or being Prash K or being somebody else. We want you to be your true selves, and we want to help you do that. Simple
and even if you don't want any of that and you just want to come and have a relaxing, fun time with some fun people, it could be as light as that as well. It could
be just as light as that.
We're not hardcore hippies.
Oh, hell no.
There's no religion here. I mean, you could
do what you want. This is urban spirituality, guys.
It's just gonna have fun. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of laughter, a lot of silliness, and a lot of seriousness. It's a bit of everything. Well, I think it's time to bid you all adieu and say good night. Farewell, farewell. Last final thought, Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer. I'll take the compliment side of that. I would have settled for what's the other guy?
Jerry.
That's all right.
Yeah, the other
Jerry.
with what's his name? JK.
I would have settled for Jim. What's his name? Right. Anyway, what I was gonna say was, don't forget there is an early bird. We're making these accessible as possible for everyone. So there's £200 off the full price. And we're happy to honor that for anybody who wants to join and come along and experience this. That offer is still good for now. So just grab it, take it, drop us a line here in the chat. You've got my details here. We've got the link in this chat, and just reach out to us. And we're great to have a chat. We always speak to somebody before we take them on board. So have that chat. We'd love to have you on board.
Adios, amigos.
Adios.